So welcome to the annual Chefs Conference at UMass, although we are not at UMass this year, unfortunately. And the first thing I want to do is thank Ken and Garrett and Chef Alex and his entire team for making this possible. This, of course, has been a challenging year for all of us. And the concept of this year is riding the momentum of change. And God knows we've all had to change this year our directions and also the way we go about our typical food service. And so what I wanted to do this year is show you some of the things that might kind of help you begin the food service for this next year that we're entering. And one of the things I found out, I mean, my niche, for those of you who don't know me, is, I was a corporate chef at Whole Foods Market for many years. And I work with a lot of really large retailers around the country, as well as universities, because they kind of run a parallel food service. And one of the things I realized from talking to so many retailers around the country and my friends in university feeding is that, people are looking for something different. They don't want to typically eat meals like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They want to graze a lot more. They want to snack. And I think one of the things this past year has taught us is that, we're more interested in healthy foods, and we're more interested in seeking authentic global experiences, because God knows we've all been cooped up for so long. And so that's what you're going to see here today. And to take it one step further, I thought the theme would be really interesting this year to show you hand-to-mouth foods, or foods that are so flexible you can eat them as snacks by hand, or you can use them for your pre-pack programs in your university feeding and in grab-and-go cases. And I'm going to show you a total flexible program here, which you'll be able to manage in many different ways, and I'll go through that during each recipe. So what I want to do is, and by the way, housekeeping, if you have questions, Marlene and her associates will ask me the questions while I'm doing it. So with that said, I'm going to show you a couple of different recipes, and I'm also going to show you the derivations of those recipes. So what I want to do is, Bob, if you could just kind of close in on this a little bit here. This is my friend Bob, who I've worked with for many years, who's the IT guy today. That's great. If you could just bend it down a little bit toward the cutting board, and I'll give you the cue. And that's perfect. That's great. Yes, we can see if you can bend it down a little bit more, and then we can see the pans. That's good. That's perfect. Great. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of different things. The first recipe I'm going to show you is a recipe that I learned in Hawaii from a friend of mine, a chef from Laos. And it's called Laotian hanging chicken. And I wanted to show you the finished product here. And then I wanted to show you how to make it, what you can do with it. And the reason that it's called Laotian hanging chicken is typically when this was done, whole chickens or half chickens or chicken pieces, mostly dark meat a lot of times, were hung on S-hooks. And they were hung in very low fires, so they would cook slow and even with an incredible marinade on them, which, by the way, you can use for many other things. So you can see that beautiful mahogany color on the outside here, which I'm going to show you how to make the marinade and show you some interesting ingredients which you should have access to, which really give you a completely different flavor profile. And this is the marinade right here. You can see that it's dark and rich and very brown mahogany-like color. And this recipe incorporates the entire 5-flavor principle, which is sweet, sour, spicy, bitter, and the other one. So what we're going to do to make the marinade is, in this bowl here, I have a bunch of different ingredients. If you look at your recipe here, you have garlic, black pepper, lemongrass, which I'm going to show you how to prep in a minute. You also have some fish sauce and oyster sauce and lime juice and sambal. So you have all these really bold flavors. And when they're done in combination with each other, you're going to want to balance those 5-flavor principles. You're going to want to balance the sweet against the sour, the bitter, the spicy. And you can do that, of course, by taste. But what I'm going to do is I'm also going to show you, because I don't want to bore you to death with having to marinate something. So this is what it looks like in its raw state. You can see that pretty well. The color of that marinade, you see all those great aromatics inside. This is what it looks like when it's cooked. And you can do some amazing things with this. I've done dark and light meat, although typically it's mostly done with dark meat. And so I just want to slice this for you a little bit, because you can see that, it's really moist inside. You can slice it, you can julienne, you can do it any way you want, because the reason I'm telling you this is because you can use this in sandwiches, in banh mi, in salads. You can also do this on any kind of a sub sandwich or a salad topping. It's very, very versatile. So with that said, I'm going to make the sauce for you, which is really, really interesting. It's a sambal, and it's got a lot of really interesting ingredients in it. So I'm going to move this to the side for a minute, and I want to show you what's in this. And so the first thing I have in here is I have your minced garlic and ginger. And I also have 5 or 6 red Thai chilies. They're really, really spicy ones. They're super spicy. And I also put cilantro in mine, even though it's not in your recipe. I like to add cilantro to mine. And I'm assuming that if you couldn't see this, somebody would tell me it looks pretty good in the camera here. But what I'm going to add to this is a little bit of sugar. Now, authentically, we use palm sugar, but I couldn't get that in Colorado. So by the way, I should take a step back for a minute and tell you that I am not in my home kitchen this week. I am in the beautiful area of Boulder, Colorado, which for me is very inspirational in terms of these recipes and just the production here. There's a lot of ingredients that are grown here, and it's an absolutely beautiful place. And because we're doing this out on a farm, this is my friends Bobby and Rachel have a farm out here in the Hygiene, Colorado area. They grow a lot of stuff too. And it's just a beautiful area. And later, after we did the cooking demo, I'm going to show you Long's Peak, which is 16,000 feet. 14,000 feet. What's 2,000 feet among friends? So I'm going to put a little bit of brown sugar in this mixture of the cilantro, ginger, and garlic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to also just mince up some shallots here, finely. You can use onion if you want, or red onion, or even scallion if you want. But typically, shallots are the way to go here for the flavor. I'm going to put these in. I'm going to mince them pretty fine. Like that. I'm going to add them to our sambal. And you can use this sambal for many different things, okay? I love it on any kind of grilled vegetables or meat or tofu. And I'm going to add to that some finely minced lemongrass too, if I can get this open. There you go, finely minced lemongrass. And for those of you who don't work with lemongrass often, let me just say that it's an amazing ingredient. I just want to show you how to prep it because a lot of people are not familiar with using it. We, of course, grow a lot of it in Florida, where I'm from. It's a subtropical root vegetable. So what I'm going to do is I am going to peel the outside layer off, and I'm just going to cut the bottom of it off, the root end, like this. And I'm going to take the outside layer off, and I'm going to put it on the cutting board. Let me just clean this up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to smash it a little bit. Get my knife, break it up a little bit, and then you just mince it. Just mince it small. And one of the things I like to do, and I may have done this last year at the conference, is, and you can use it all the way up to this end. I mean, I cut off the top 6 inches or so of the plant, and I only use the bottom. But one of the things you can do is you can take a mixture of equal parts of lemongrass, ginger, and garlic, and you can puree it in your Roboku or Vitamix or whatever, with a little bit of oil or water or white wine. And I save that in the fridge up to 4 weeks. And you can use that, we call it monster mash when I'm working out in the field, but you can save that and use that in any of your Asian dishes, and of course for your sambal as well. So I'm going to put that in here. We're going to add our liquid ingredients. I have, by the way, lemon zest and lime zest. I'm adding fish sauce to this, which of course is loaded with umami flavors. And I'm going to add a little bit of hoisin because I could not find the dark sweet soy sauce. So I'm adding a little bit of hoisin to this. I mean, in place of the sweet soy. And I'm also going to add some coconut oil to this as well, just to give it a little sheen. And I want to show you one more ingredient here. This is something that you may not be familiar with. In Florida, we are, because it's pretty popular in the Latin population. And this is fresh tamarind. And there's 2 kinds of tamarind. There's sweet and there's tart tamarind. This one happens to be the sweet one. And what you do is, even though I'm going to be putting tamarind puree in this, I just want to show you this. This is, you just crack it open like this. And inside, you'll find this pod. And you peel the pod and the veins out from around it. And what you do is, you can just, there's a little bit of pits in here too, like in each pod, there's one small pit. And you can chop that up and put it right in your sambal. Or what you can do is, you can do this, which I'm going to show you next, which is, I happened to find this in the store yesterday, which really surprised me. But this is tamarind puree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of tamarind puree to it. It's already pureed up and it's very, very tart. And the sweetness of the hoisin and the brown sugar really, really act nicely together to give you a balance of flavors. And then I like a lot of lime in my sambal. I'm going to add a little bit more fresh lime juice to this. And that is all there is to this. It's very, very simple to make. It stays for a very long time. You can make this in production quantities in 5-gallon batches if you want, and just puree it with a Roku or a burr mixer, and it really stays for weeks, and it gets better actually day by day. And I'm going to show you a close-up of it so you know what it looks like. And this is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see that really well. Dark, rich color, lots of particulates, lots of aromatics in there, spicy. And again, this just brings flavor to everything you add it to. So that's our sambal. One ingredient I did not add to it, which I don't see on the table here, but let's not worry about it. We'll fake it for this one. But I add sambal ulek, or spicy sambal to it, just to give it a little bit more spice to it. So you can do that as well. And that gives it a much more intense flavor. So it depends on your likes and dislikes. So that's the sambal. It goes great with the Laotian chicken. But again, there's so many things you can do with it. Think of in production rather. Think of it. You can do your chicken either on the grill or in the oven on sheet pans and convection. But you can slice it and serve it on banh mi's with this sauce and cucumber, pickled vegetables, and lettuce. And it's really, really fabulous. I mean,
Chef, we have a question from the audience.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead. I can't see you, so.
How much dried lemongrass would you use, and would you hydrate it or do something to it before you use it?
You know what? I kind of think for this, I try to stay away from it if you could. I don't think it has nearly as much flavor and power. And also, fresh lemongrass now, you can actually buy it in tubes in supermarkets. I see it pureed like in a toothpaste tube, but I would rather use that than the dried.
Great. Thank you so much.
But you should be able to get fresh lemongrass from any produce purveyor. And like another thing you can use if you want is galangal instead of ginger. It depends on who your vendors are, and whether if you have a good Asian vendor, they have all this stuff. So you should be able to find it. So let me, if there's no other questions on this recipe, please feel free to ask if there is.
I think the only question was if we could move the camera angle a little bit back so we could see you.
Sure. Rather see me than the pan? I don't know about that.
I think people they want the best of both worlds here.
Turn it up a little bit, but just a little.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
How's that? Turn it down a little bit because you can't see the pan. Is that good? Let me know.
Yeah, that's good. We can see.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
I'll take that as a compliment, whoever asked that, because usually people just want to look at the pan. So I'm going to show you another recipe, which I originally saw in Houston. And it always stuck with me. And through the years, I've been wanting to make this in operations. And I've done this quite a few times, a different version of that's great, Bob. Thank you. I've done quite a few versions of this. And it's a Mexican seafood cocktail, Veracruz style. And there are so many different things you can do with this. And once I mix the mixture, I'll show you some of the things you can do with it, which I kind of found by accident when I was searching the internet for different carriers. I mean, one of the things about hand to mouth is it's the importance of the carrier, importance of what you're putting it in. And especially with a lot of people being gluten-free these days, there's so many alternatives you can do for this, like, lettuce leaves or cabbage leaves or in a cocktail glass, but that'll all become clear to you in the next few minutes. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to take our lightly poached seafood. And what I have for this dish today is I have some fresh shrimp, which we poached this morning. I'm going to mix the shrimp together. These are small shrimp. You can chop them if you want to. You can leave them whole. It's totally up to you. And again, this is a really great item for production, for heavy production. Let me take the ice out of there, although it is a hot day. I don't know how it is in Amherst today, but it's 90 today in Boulder, and it's pretty steamy for this part of the country. And this is fresh poached calamari steaks. I actually bought the steaks for this. I poached them. You can make a pork bouillon for it, or you can do it in water, or a little bit of water and wine if you want. I made a light pork bouillon for it. And so this is the calamari. That's the shrimp. You can add scallops to this if you have them. We couldn't find them here, so I left them out. But one thing I did decide to put in was this beautiful lump crab meat. So I'm going to put our lump crab meat, and it can be, if you want to do this on a less expensive label or a less expensive food cost, you can put whatever you want into this. I mean, it's totally up to you and your budget. What would also go nice in this are any kind of poached white meat fish. And if you have trimmings from the tails or salmon trimmings from the tails, anything you have will go in this really well. So I have our seafood in here now, which I'm just going to rest here for a moment on the side. I'm actually going to take this. Bob, would you mind? Could you just let me just hand you this here for a minute, make a little room. Put that right there. There you go. And so I'll put this right here. And then what I'm going to add to this are some of the other solid ingredients here. You can add any kind of tomatoes to this if you want to have these beautiful little tiny rainbow tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice them in half. The colors will be really nice in this. You know, there's Cherokee, there's yellow tomatoes, there's little cherry bombs I have here too. So I'm going to slice those up. You can chop them finer if you like, but I kind of like the form to be identifiable. I'll put a couple more in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some minced red onion to this, which I have right here. I'm just going to put a little minced red onion. And you can use scallion if you want. So I'm just going to mince to this. So that's. I'm also going to add to this some ripe avocado. You can imagine already from the, let's see, where did my avocado roll to? Let's find him. He was here.
Blue ball with the lemon.
Oh, there he is. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Rachel. So here's our avocado, which I'm gonna just take some dice out here. Beautiful ripe one we have. Make a few score marks in here. To get it easy. This is perfectly ripe. Somebody's going to be eating this really soon, I have a feeling. Put it in just like this, scoop out the whole avocado. I'm going to put this back in here so you can see it. I'll tilt it toward you. I'll get the rest of the avocado in there. Put that in here like this. Now, if you want to, you have the option. You can add cilantro to this, or you can put it in the sauce, which we're going to make next. So we have all the seafood, beautiful avocado, ripe tomatoes. And I'm going to build the sauce right around this in here so we can just use one bowl. So here I'm going to put a little bit of minced jalapeno. You can use serranos if you want. You can leave it out altogether if you like. It's totally up to you. And I'm also going to add to that some minced scallions, which we have right here. Look at the minced scallion. I'm going to put some fresh lime juice in. So I know I have a half a lime around here somewhere. If not, I do now. Right. It's funny when you're working in a totally different place than your kitchen. I'm not sure exactly where everything is, but we found it. So this is our fresh lime juice. You can season it with salt if you want to. You don't have to because there's so many other flavors going on in here. And this is a really interesting dish because we're going to add to this next is some ketchup, regular tomato ketchup, this. And we're going to add one more really interesting ingredient. Now, this is authentic. You don't have to add it. This is orange soda. And it gives it a little bit of sweetness to it also. Ooh, how about that, huh? That was a surprise. Could have been worse. I was on the Today Show once, and I was opening a bottle of olive oil. And you know how those bottles of olive oil have, like, plastic insets that go in? I accidentally stuck my finger in there, and I couldn't get it out for the next 7 minutes. So that was pretty embarrassing. But here we are going to add a little bit of orange soda just for a little sweetness to it. And we're going to mix this up now after I add our cilantro to it. We give this a quick chop. This cilantro, and it should be done. As I said, you could add a little bit of salt if you want. But once we mix this up together, this is such a refreshing item for the summer, at least anyway. And you can do many different things with this. You can obviously serve it in a cocktail glass like this if you want. You know, you can just put a little shredded lettuce or a little shredded cabbage under it. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I was able to find these really cool pretzel cones that are unsweetened, they're savory. A pretzel cone. So I thought it would be really cool to put a pretzel cone here. If you want, again, you could put a little shredded lettuce because if you wanted to, if you were going to do this in production, you know, you could really literally do this with like 2 ounces of seafood in each portion and then make your margin on it too, which is obviously really important. So here I am. I'm just going to fill this with our seafood and tomatoes and avocado. Boy, this looks good, doesn't it? I want to make sure you can see that.
That looks delicious on our
What I'm
end.
going to do is these are spicy Inca corn, Inca giant corn. They're roasted, and I love these. They were a snack food, but I just got the inspiration. We were sitting around yesterday eating dinner, and we were eating these corns, and I said, "Boy, wouldn't these be great on top of this seafood dish?" And I'm going to try to get as close to the camera as I can. Let me know. Can you guys see that pretty well?
Yes, we're just missing the taste, but we can definitely see it.
Smells really good too. So this is the Veracruz seafood cocktail. And if you want to, the only other thing I think I have here, which I really like, is it has some really beautiful microgreens. Excuse me. So if you wanted to finish off a little bit of the microgreens on top, you could. But that is a finished Veracruz seafood cocktail. Again, you could really do this in production because they do make holders now, as you know, for cones and things like that. So if you're going to do this on a buffet line or, you know, for a pickup station, you could easily do this. So that's very good. Any questions on Veracruz seafood cocktail? Feel free to ask. If not, I'm sending this to the employees in the kitchen right now. Mind, Puck? And I'm going to give you that tray too if you don't. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I know that Bob's going to take this and eat it now, but that's a whole other story. When you come back, I will just hand you this, the rest of it, and I really appreciate that. And let me just clean up the cutting board here for a minute. Some lunch over there. Let me hand you this. Thank you very much. That's what I need to do. And away. Good to go. There you go. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So that's our
Jeff, they were just asking if that glass on your table is blood orange soda.
It is blood orange soda because the other sodas that were available here just weren't the right ones. If I chose to use the ones I really like, you know, they have the Mexican orange sodas, which are fabulous. I mean, they're very sweet, but they're really, really good. They've got a different kind of flavor. They're made with cane sugar, and they have a whole different flavor. So that's what I would, or like I said, you can leave it out if you want. You definitely do not have to use that. So that is our Veracruz seafood salad. Again, I'm hoping that the inspiration that you get from these will enable you to try some new things in your operations. And I think that, you know, in terms of cost and things like that, you know, you can alter these any way you want. Like I've done this before with just the trimmings of fish, which I poach and add smaller shrimp and, you know, sliced up scallops. So it's totally up to you. You've got, you know, all that flexibility. Now, I want to show you something else, which this is one of my favorite recipes here. So, you know how this seminar is hand-to-mouth foods and things that are kind of portable, things that you can make ahead and walk around with if you want. Well, this recipe for the Udon Noodle pancakes with shiitake mushrooms is really one of my favorites. And it's actually from my last cookbook, which was a vegetarian cookbook predominantly. So there's some beautiful photographs of it in too. And it's a very, very popular recipe. I've run it in many different places, many different versions with different kind of sauces and garnishes on it. But this is really one of my favorites. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you some ingredients that go into it, and then I'm going to make the finished product for you. So let me find my udon noodles, which should be here. Now, these udon noodles are made with organic buckwheat flour, and they come in small bundles, and you can buy them in bulk too, because I have. And this is our udon noodles, and you can see how dark they are, and they've got a very earthy, delicious flavor, and usually a very chewy texture. You can make these, by the way, with any noodles. If you want to make these with udon noodles, you can do that. If you want to make them with, you know, regular angel hair pasta or spaghetti, you can do that too. But we are using udon. I'm going to put these away. Now, one of the other ingredients in this is dried shiitake mushrooms. Now, these, you only need a few of them because they're extremely strong. And by the way, you can use fresh if you want, but if you're using the dried shiitakes, obviously you have to reconstitute them in boiling water for a little while. I like the texture of them better in this recipe because they really hold up well and give you a bite when you're biting into that pancake. I don't like burgers and pancakes, which don't have any textural diversity to them. I like a good mouthfeel on them, and these have an amazing mouthfeel. Now, the other ingredients that you're going to put in here are shredded carrots. You're going to put scallions, in this mixture. You're going to put garlic and ginger, water chestnuts. Now, the binding agent for this is egg whites and cornstarch, and I also put a few breadcrumbs in, but you may not need them depending on how porous your buckwheat noodles are. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And again, I made these with egg whites. Excuse me. So if you think about it, it's a really healthy dish because first of all, the buckwheat noodles are not like regular spaghetti, and you've also got egg whites and just a little bit of cornstarch and a lot of vegetables. You can load this with vegetables if you want to. So after you put all your ingredients in, this is what it's going to look like. You really want to make sure that you cook your noodles well. I'm going to hold these up for you in a second. First, I'm putting on my blue velvet gloves. Never seen gloves this color. Thank you very much, Bobby and Rachel. Add a lot of color to this. So this is what your mixture is going to look like. It's going to, you really want to almost overcook your noodles because you want them a little bit starchier, right? And all my vegetables are in there, my scallions. I'm going to add a little bit more scallion to this. It looks like a little short on scallions. And then what I'm going to do is, you can use a measuring cup, you can use an ice cream scoop, which is really great. You can use anything you want to measure these so they're all exactly the same size. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here. Excuse me. It's allergy season here, as you can tell. And it's full of interesting pollen in the air. So I'm going to make about a 3-ounce pancake. You can do a little bit more, a little bit less. I actually have a cup here. If you want them to be all the same size, you can portion out your cup. Or obviously, we're doing this home style today. But when you're operating in your university, you're obviously be doing it with an ice cream scoop. I'm going to press it down a little bit. Let me make a couple of them here. Put shiitake mushroom in there. There's another one in here. I'm going to press them down with our spatula a little bit to get them going. You want to press them down pretty good. Now, when I'm doing these in volume, I do these in a Swiss kettle, obviously, because you can make 50, 60 at a time. So I'm just going to get them. I'm not going to disturb them. I'm not going to turn them over. I really want them to sit there for a couple of minutes until they get nice and golden brown. You don't need a lot of oil in the pan to really be able to do this. I want to keep them fairly dry.
And chef, everyone is loving your sous chef in the back.
Oh, it's not the sous chef. That is our director of security. So everybody knows this is Little Bear, who is an akbash. And an akbash is a very unusual kind of dog. It's a Turkish dog origin. It's a guard dog. And they sleep among the sheep flocks. And they protect the sheep. And that's why they're always white. So they are the only dog capable of taking down a mountain lion or a bear. So you have to be nice to him. That's why he's our director of security. Right, Bear? What do you think? Right? Okay, good. He likes me, fortunately. So it's a wonderful dog, and we love him dearly. In fact, his predecessor was another akbash named Buddy, and the name of the farm we're on right now is Buddy's Farm. So, a great breed of dog. I figured he's probably going to walk in front of the camera, but it doesn't matter because we're not in our professional kitchens today.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't matter. I think he's waiting for samples.
Yes, I know. He's the official taste tester. So as you can see, let me turn this up a little bit. I want to brown it a little bit more. These will get golden brown and crispy on the outside, and you really be able to see the shape of the noodle. Excuse me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plate a couple of these too. Now, you can serve these just as a burger. You can serve these like on a salad. Total flexibility. I actually really like them cold. So, if you want to serve them chilled, you can do that as well. Nothing like a gas burner, but these are the next best thing. We're doing good. So as I cook these, the other suggestion you can have is just They are really good with that sambal sauce I made earlier, which is what I'm going to put on them. But you can do anything you want with these. You can just serve them with hoisin or any kind of sauce that you make for sambal. And I also use these as a carrier platform for other proteins. Like you can put sauteed garlic shrimp on these. You can put, grilled chicken or tofu over them for, protein source. I'm going to flip this now. At least I'm going to try to. There we go. So that's the kind of color you're looking for. I'm going to put this see a little bit more. You're looking for a nice golden brown color. You can see that. Maybe yes, no.
Yes, it looks golden brown.
Get that more color. Give it another couple of minutes. Really sizzling. Like I said, you can do this with a regular pasta. It's nothing like the taste of a buckwheat noodle. It's got a really earthy, delicious flavor. So let's just say that these are golden brown. 2 is plenty per person. So you can see that. I'll hold the plate up for you in just a jiff. Here, I'm going to put some of the sambal on this. Let's use this. Stir this up. Oh boy. If you want to, you can garnish it with a little microgreens or cilantro or arugula. Whatever you want. These are really super delicious. I made a bunch yesterday and served them for some guests here, but I just want to make sure you can see that. Can you get that?
Oh yeah, we have that captured. It's beautiful.
Okay, great, super. So I'm going to hand this over to the team. Excuse me. There we go. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Are there any questions on the udon noodle pancakes? What do you think? We're good?
No questions. Yeah, keep on going here. Yeah.
Do you know how many people are actually out there watching?
We have about 45 or so who are live in. So if anyone has any questions for Chef Steve, please go ahead and you can enter them in the chat or in the Q&A, and I'll be happy to ask them directly to him.
Thank you. Let's go to our next recipe here. This is one of my favorite summer items because of its flexibility. How many ways you can use it. So, one of my favorite summer items. This is a strawberry slaw. And with the hot weather coming, this is a great item for a salad bar, pickup item, pre-pack item, as a base over other proteins and stuff. There's like a million things you can do with this. So we're going to make this now. Really simple item, but again, a wonderful item. Go here and do this. Just pull right here. Do this little white down. Never catch a falling knife. I learned that the hard way. Okay, so we have our bowl here. What you're going to do is you're going to use shredded cabbage and carrots. I use a little bit of red and green and fresh carrots in this one. And what I'm going to add to it is some chia and flax seeds. A little bit of chia and flax. Sprinkle them in whole. Which, by the way, the chia actually acts like a little thickening agent over time. And I'm also going to add to this, just move this around a little bit. I'm also going to add beautiful strawberries, which, by the way, if you're making this in production and you want to do this for your food service program, you can make this base and keep it just as is separately in a large Lexan container without anything else in it. And when you're going to serve it, you add your strawberries and the vinaigrette to it, a la minute, and that will stay for a couple of hours to keep nice and crispy. So that's what I do. This will stay for 4 days in your walk-in. And I'm going to slice these strawberries up. These are some of the best strawberries I've ever had. They're organic, Driscoll's, and they're delicious.
Chef, the slaw that you're about to create, is that typically used as a side dish? And I know you had mentioned before that it also makes a great topping.
You can. It's actually very flexible, and that's kind of the theme here with all the items I'm showing you. Total flexibility. So yes, you can use it as a side dish. Excuse me. You could use it as a side dish. You can put it underneath a grilled protein source. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with it, but what we're going to do is we're going to build the vinaigrette around it. So I have raspberry vinegar here. You can use, if you want, for the oil, you can use walnut oil if you want. You can use olive oil, and you're going to put a little bit of honey in, which I don't believe I have on the table here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to add a little bit of this tamarind puree because it's going to serve the same purpose. You want a little bit of tartness to it, you know? So we're adding a little tamarind, but usually I use honey or agave. So you have to think quick when you don't have the right ingredients. That's what you do at work too, right? And we're going to add some salt to it and Aleppo pepper and some lemon zest. What I'm going to do is I'm adding lemon juice to it, but let's add some lemon zest to it. And I'm going to add some roasted chocolate cones. You can use walnuts, you can use pecans, whatever you like. It's up to you. Let me find them. They are right here. I always roast them first to give them that beautiful flavor. Roast this mix. Now, if you want to, here's some options you have here. This is essentially like a fat-free salad because there's no oil in it, as you can see. Excuse me. But if you want to make it creamy, you can add some plain fat-free yogurt to it. And that will make it creamy. You can even use vanilla if you want, but I've used fat-free yogurt in this. But it's really, really a beautiful dish. And like I said, when I make this for production, I just keep all the dry ingredients separately and then mix them in when I need them. So you can see the beautiful color on this. And if you want to, what you can do is, let me just move this out of the way. I'm actually going to hand this to Bobby for a second here. Just to make some room here if I could. Thanks, Bob. One more thing I'm going to add to this that will show you. I always like adding a little bit of dinosaur kale to this. You know, black kale, lacinato kale. I'm just going to do a little shredding here. Real fine julienne. Roll the kale a little bit. Totally up to you. I think it just gives it a really nice color variation. There. Pop that right into our slaw. You're going to mix it around. You can see the color variation. It's really nice in that. I'm going to hold it up for you too. Can you see that? Yes?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Great. Super. Yes, we can. I like that. That should be our motto for the next couple of years. Yes, we can. We know we can after this year, right?
Absolutely.
I just want to show you for a minute. Excuse me. Allergies. So I'm going to put some on this plate because you see the color of it. It's so beautiful. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to make our spinach cakes next and put them on top. So if you look at the color you have here, I'm going to pass this to you too. Thank you very much. I'll go through all that stuff later in the kitchen. But if you can see the color you have on this, it's just so beautiful. You know, and I'm going to just put that off to the side for a minute as I make another recipe for us. This is another recipe that I really, really love. And these are going to be our spinach cakes. Now, I've been making this, like variations of this recipe for, I don't know, a very long time, and I make different kind of variations, but people always really love it. Again, you know, one of the things we're looking for this year is comfort. And this is one of the things that's really comforting for me. So what I have in here is I have very, very heavily caramelized onions, which you can see there. And one of the keys to this dish is really caramelizing your onions well. Now I use frozen chopped spinach because usually I'm making hundreds of these, but you obviously can use fresh if you want. Also, if you'd like to, you can use kale for this too. And kale works out really nice, any kind of kale. You can do this with chard too. So I'm putting my pan back on the fire. What I'm going to do is, in this dish, I have 2 eggs. You can use egg whites too if you want just plain egg whites. There is garlic in this dish. I have my spinach. I have nutmeg, which I've grated in here, and rosemary is in there. And what I've done is, I boiled a couple of potatoes. You can grate them and put them in if you want raw, but I think the texture of the boiled potatoes gives it a really, really nice flavor. And I'm going to add some breadcrumbs to this, depending on what it looks like when it's done, and Parmesan cheese. So these will come out like burgers, but again, there are so many different things you can do with this. Yes, it can be a burger. It can be a sandwich with any kind of melted cheese or goat cheese on top. We'll end up putting a couple on top of our strawberry slaw, but I was trying to really go with as much flexible stuff as I could for you. So I'm going to give you some new ideas and also, ways to make things like with variety. Because once you have one recipe and you can turn it into 5, it makes it that much more valuable in your repertoire. So I'm going to mix this together now well with my hand. I'm going to form it into cakes. I'm going to add a little crumb. I'm going to add a little panko to this just to tighten it up a little bit. If you want, you can do this gluten-free as well by using gluten-free panko. Just like this. There we go. Panko, just tighten it up a little bit. Again, you can use gluten-free panko if you want. So now, if you want to, I like, again, a little bit of crunch in my burgers. So I'm going to add a little, I have some of the crushed roasted pecans from before, so I'm just going to add a few of those to give it some crunch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to form a cake. Actually, 2 cakes. There we go. I don't have my scoop here, Colorado, but you get the point. You get the picture. So you can do a 4-ounce cake, a 2-ounce cake. You want to make sure the pan is hot. And if you want to, the other thing you can do is you can roll it in a little bit of panko if you want to have a real crusty ending on it, just like this. I'll do 1 and 1 so you can see what they come out like. I'm going to put this right here next to it. And what I'm going to do is take this off. Up. He's sleeping on the job, security. Up, he's up. How am I doing? Okay. Good. Just checking in with him. So here are 2 cakes. Press them down just a little bit. And again, I don't want to stir them right away. I don't want to turn them. I really want them to brown. And this is another thing I make in a Swiss kettle. So you can make 100 at a time the size of this table. Always best. I think the next thing I should make is an Allegra shake for my allergy. That would be great, wouldn't it?
So someone commented about you being so close to flower pots. It's probably not in your favor.
I know. That's what happened. We were trying to look for a really good place to do this. And there's so many of them here. After I finish here in a moment, I'm just going to pan around and show you what we're dealing with here. Excuse me, in terms of like what it looks like. It's so beautiful. And then I'm going to show you a long speak. So, you just cook these. You cook these until the eggs are cooked inside until you have a really good crust on them. These here. And you can see how they're already picking up a lot of really nice color, especially when I put in the panko. And we're going to take our strawberry slaw right here. Beautiful. I'm just gonna put them right on top of here like this. This looks like Lori's dinner, actually. Move this off to the side. Turn this off. Like this. And like this. And then I'm going to show you this. And so this is spinach cakes, beautiful strawberry slaw underneath. Again, you could do this with protein if you wanted to. You don't have to. It's totally up to you. I'm trying to show you the whole flexibility thing. And that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is our last recipe. Are there
Yeah.
any-
Probably when you serve them over, there's other alternative options, right? Like you can do like a linguine or something else as well if you.
In fact, that's what I usually serve them over, is some kind of pasta with a nice spicy arrabbiata sauce or a marinara. And think about it, because you have the color of the pasta, the green spinach cakes, and the red marinara. It's a beautiful look on the plate too.
Awesome. Yeah, I think someone saw some of your recipes up to download, and you had mentioned the spicy red beans and some pasta, so they definitely are curious to try that out.
Absolutely. The more flexibility you can get with a repertoire of recipes, the better off you are, and the more pressure it takes off you, you know? So
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so
any
much.
questions, anything?
No, I think they're all ready for the views.
Yeah. Well, can you disconnect that? And I just want to show you what this looks like here, because it's really spectacular. Thank you very much, everybody, by the way. Just unplug it too. So let me show you what we're dealing with here. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I guess I have to turn it that way, right? You can see this is part of the farm that we're on here. There's again the chief security sleeping on the job. But what I do want to do is I just want to take you around the farm just a little bit so you can see what it looks like on a beautiful Colorado afternoon. Roses, there's everything growing here, lilacs. There's all sorts of produce growing in there in that section there. But what I really want to show you is this. Let me know when I get there if you can see what I'm about to show you, because it's pretty mind-blowing, you know? Can you see Long's Peak off in the distance there? You all see that?
Yes, we're getting a clearer view as you get closer.
Well, it's very serene here, just a spectacular place. Well, there you go. That's your your nature for the afternoon, huh?
Well, we are so appreciative of your time, and people I think are very excited to try out these recipes. And I encourage anyone who tries them to go ahead and tag UMass Dining so we can go ahead and share your at-home versions for Chef Steve to check out.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much, Chef. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you.